The first item on the agenda are public comments, and people can go to the microphone and just give your name and address for the record. You can speak also on every agenda item that's on the agenda as well.
Yes, hello, my name is Larry Krieg. I live at 252 Carriage Way, and I have the privilege of serving on the Planning Commission here, and it's also my honor to be your representative on the Board of Directors of the RIDE. And that's what I wanted to talk about tonight, just briefly to give you all an update and hopefully to get a little feedback on how things are going. In items that we have talked about before, which I think of fondly as old business, we have Express Bus and Flex Ride. Express Bus is actually planned to start now at the beginning of January, and there is parking which is off Joe Hall Drive near the Shell station, and that's where the bus is expected to start and end. I'm not sure exactly how many spots there are, what kind of shelter, if any, there's going to be. People might be expected to wait in their cars if they drive in there. After considerable discussion about the fare, our CEO, Mr. Carpenter, decided on an introductory fare of $1.50 for 6 months. So we'll see how that goes. There's going to be a fare study for the entire system that is expected to start also in January. And I've been urging that they look at all of the factors involved in setting a fare, including who's paying taxes to support it, who is in need of the service, how many people are likely to ride at given levels of fare, and so forth. One of the concerns that I have not addressed yet, except in an email to the township leadership, is how are people expected to get on to that bus if they don't have a car? In other words, is there going to be a good place for people to transfer from the Route 46 bus that goes through the south part of the township or not? So we'll have to see how that works out, and I'll be urging some way of getting people easily from one bus to another. For new business, one of the things I've been concerned about for a long time with our bus service is how long it takes to get from any part of our township to the big employer centers in Ann Arbor. And I am hoping, not just hoping, but I'm beginning the process of having the new planning manager, Forrest Yang, who replaced Chris White, whom many of you know, for Forrest to use data from the new electronic system that's on all the buses that detects where people get off the bus as well as where they get on. The basic route structure of buses that go between Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti has not changed for 40 years. I remember riding it back in the 1970s. And there have been a number of overlays to that, but I am not at all convinced that they serve the best interests of anybody, really. And then finally, I just wanted to mention that I attended a meeting that SEMCOG put on last Monday night at the Pittsfield Township offices. And what they were doing was asking for input on the draft of their 30-year forecast, which they come out with a new one of every 5 years. It's an electronic crystal ball, and so you can't really trust it, but it is something that, that I think we need to be aware of. To me, it represents what is most likely to happen if we keep doing everything the way we're doing. And the overall forecast for the SEMCOG region is very slow growth, somewhat of stability. The good news is that Washtenaw County is forecast to be the fastest growing county in the region. And within Washtenaw County, not surprisingly, Ann Arbor is expected to grow fastest. Ypsilanti Township is expected to hold on to second place in population, as we are now. We're the number 2 municipality within the county in terms of how many people there are. They also expect us to add about 8,000 residents in the next 30 years, so something to keep our eyes open for. And as far as job growth, Pittsfield is expected to be the second highest municipality employer in the county, but Ypsilanti Township is expected to be a very close third, gaining about 8,000 jobs during that 30-year period. So that's a word of encouragement and also a word for us to keep working on it. For anybody who wants more detail, there is a really cool interactive map on the SEMCOG website at maps.semcog.org/forecast. And I would encourage anybody who is interested in the future of the region, take a look at it. Thanks.
Thank you, Larry.
Could I just ask if anybody has feedback about the bus system? Please, please let me know.
Is this available for people with disabilities at the table? Or the
No, you,
okay, because that's what I was wondering.
oh, okay. Is it on?
I've been having problems with my back.
Oh, okay.
Is that
Or
on?
you could just take this mic out of this thing and
It can go, yeah, you can sit
Oh,
right there.
it will? Okay, that's good. Thank you. Hello, my name is Timothy King. I'm a resident of Ypsilanti Township, lifelong resident, 1573 Molly Street, Ypsilanti, and I'm a member of the Washtenaw County Republican Executive Committee. I want to thank Jimmy Wilson, Trustee Wilson, for helping facilitate a meeting with the Democrat Executive Committee this summer, and where a proclamation was passed to help with the Willow Run Bomber Plant Memorial. And at this time, I would like to ask the board to, if we can, facilitate a meeting.
Can you put the microphone up to your?
If we can, facilitate a meeting with Senator Warren and Senator Colbeck and other members in the legislature that are interested. We ran into a problem with the Legislative Service Bureau. I never heard of them, but they're the bureau in Lansing that members of the Senate and House would go to, and they're allowed 4 or 5 bills to introduce a month per member of the legislature. And this bureau is the bureau that would write the bill. And so I'm requesting a meeting with Brenda and any other person, member, elected official on the township board that we could meet, and with Rebecca Warren and Pat Colbeck. And I'd like to briefly, if I could, this is my motivation. And again, Trustee Wilson, I want to really thank you. That executive meeting this summer, Bob King came up and gave me a big hug. And but this is my motivation. My home of Michigan, I sing of thee, Michigan, my Michigan, The Mackinac Bridge I long to see, Michigan, my Michigan. From Battle Creek's Kellogg's factory to Willow Run Village in Ypsilanti, Detroit's raw materials supplied our victory. Michigan, my Michigan. Our nation told its sons goodbye, Michigan, my Michigan, and sent the bravest forth to fight, Michigan, my Michigan. Above a raging European sky, B-24 liberators, proud and high, ready to fight and ready to fly, Michigan, my Michigan. The 9th Air Force at Pelosi oil fields, Michigan, my Michigan. B-24 liberators bravely fell, Michigan, my Michigan. On to Berlin we point with pride, Hap's 8th and Doolittle's 15th side by side. Remember Pearl Harbor, the battle cry, Michigan, my Michigan. 18,000 feet above Berlin, Michigan, my Michigan. The 448th Squadron, they must win, Michigan, my Michigan. June 21st of 1944, 36 liberators, 4 squadrons each, at Hitler's door, flying to in Operation Overlord, Michigan, my Michigan. General Hap Arnold's victorious name, Michigan, my Michigan. Willow Run Bomber Plant goes into fame, Michigan, my Michigan. 8,600 liberators in the fight we see, Henry Ford's arsenal of democracy. Turret crews gun ablaze today, Michigan, my Michigan. And when the happy time shall come, Michigan, my Michigan, bringing our World War II heroes home, Michigan, my Michigan. No need for rationing cards no more. Ticker tape parades at Eisenhower's feet will pour, and tears for those killed in the war, Michigan, my Michigan. A grateful country claims them now, Michigan, my Michigan. The Purple Heart binds each brow, Michigan, my Michigan. Air crews ages 17 to 21, distinguished flying crosses for everyone. Victory in Europe, we all have won, Michigan, my Michigan. It was originally sung by Winifred Lee Brent, housewife in Detroit, and composed in 1862. I changed the lyrics of it, but that's what's in my heart. And I can't stop pushing for this, and we've got support from the mayor of Escanaba all the way down to Luna Pier. Okay. So I need your help, Brenda. I really need your help. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
Mitty McMaster, 1180 East Forest Avenue, Ypsilanti, Michigan. I've been a resident of this township for 69 years and 4 months. I voted for, ever since I've been able to vote in this township, supported this township, supported the people, and I'll continue to do that. And most importantly, I want to see support for Green Oaks Golf Course. The memorandum that Kirk has issued to the board, and I told Kurt I'll be his worst nightmare, because I don't think as seniors the price should increase with this golf course again. 5-day membership, he wants to move up $50 from $500 to $550. For the ladies, he wants to go from $250 to $275. And he's requested $100 for leagues. If you're a member, you can play in one league, but every league after that, you have to pay $100. And he's requesting a $1 increase in the league fee. If my husband and I pay his $550 for membership, and then we pay my $275 for my membership, that's $825. He wants to raise the cart fee from $250 to $300. That makes $1,125. He wants to charge me $100 more if I play on another league. That's $1,225. if I play on 3 leagues, which I play on 2 leagues, my husband plays on 1. He wants to raise that to $17. If I back $5 off of that because I have my own cart, that means it's $12 a round. And we play 14 rounds. So 12 times 14 is $168. For 3 leagues at $168, it's $504. Then I pay $300 for my cart, is $804. Why would I pay $1,225 to be a member of Green Oaks when I can play my leagues for $804? I haven't played any golf other than my leagues this past year, and I really don't intend to do it this next year until the league ends in August, and sometimes I play September and October. But that's not something I have to do. So a 5-day membership, I don't get any privileges. I have to pay if I want to play another league. So why can't my league starts at 5 o'clock in the evening, why can't I call the golf course and get a 4:55 tee time, and I can be the first one off of my league and not pay that $100? It always comes back to the members of this golf course of who is supporting it and who you're taking advantage of. We're seniors. Darlene passed you out a paper that shows you the rates of the area golf courses. And unfortunately, I don't have one up here with me. But I do know that Pierce Lake offers a senior rate. Green Oaks doesn't offer a senior rate. And it includes the cart, thanks Darlene, for $725 for 5 days. We're not dealing with country clubs here. We're dealing with a community golf course, just like here in Metro Parks. I'm all for the golf course making money, but it's time that the golf course stop making money off the back of the members. We need to support each other. As residents, you support me, I support you, and I am firmly against this raise with a 5-day membership. And I question, why did we only do it with the 5 days? But I'm sure that's because we have 13 7-days and we have 45 5-day members, so you're going to get more money if you do it with the 5-day. So my greatest concern is tonight that you do not pass this to allow this to be raised. I also, if you look at the budget, he's saying that the membership this year, I want to make sure I got this right, hang on. The membership was $41,555, but next year it's going down to $40,000, so we're going to lose money. We're going to lose a lot more than that, folks, if you raise this rate, because there's a lot of these seniors that can't afford it, and this is an activity they do. I don't have any regrets for anything that I support as far as the parks and the recreations, things for kids or adults to do. And I think it's time that we look for another way to earn money and bring revenue into this golf course besides on the backs of members. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments at this time?
My name is Arloa Kaiser, live at 1421 Melvin Street, and I would like to thank everybody that voiced their opinion against the single-lane roundabout at the intersection of Cross Street and North Harris Road. That is the residents who signed the petition, and especially for the board members who voted against it. And if it wasn't for you, it would still be there. So I really do appreciate that, and the residents do too. And the fact that Washtenaw County issued the false statement about those who approved of the roundabout portion of the project, that is something else too. And I would like to make this recommendation that when our board or officials of our township vote on projects, we can access a roll call record on who voted and how they voted, so that residents, when election time or whoever, that we know who and what you stand for. And with this business about the roundabout, I was told in so many words that a squeaky wheel gets the grease. That is not necessarily true. This has to do with what the people wanted, and most of the people were against it. It's gotten to the point where a lot of people think they have no rights, that the boards and commissions and all that make all the rules. We elect the officials, and what we want should be listened to, and I appreciate what this board does for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kaiser.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to say, Mrs. Kaiser, thank you for all the work that you did on that roundabout, because that was really, you were a driving force behind that. So thank you for everything you did there.
Other public comment?
Hi, good evening, Madam Supervisor and members of the Board of Trustees. My name is Brian Conaway with Waste Management of Michigan, 19200, West 8 Mile in Southfield, Michigan. I am the public sector representative for the solid waste and recycling and yard waste contract here with Ypsilanti Township. I work pretty closely with Jeff Allen and his staff in resolving any issues that may occur. I just wanted to make sure to come out and introduce myself to the board so that at least you guys know who I am. I had a chance to meet a couple of the members recently during the MTA conference. So thank you all very much for your time, and appreciate the opportunity working with your team.
Thank you for coming out.
Sir, about waste management, my name is Arloa Kaiser. My name is Arloa Kaiser, 1421 Melvin Street. Waste Management does a fantastic job. There's really no questions. The gentlemen are always so polite and do the best to clean up what a lot of people just throw, and I mean literally throw to the street. And I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Ms. Kaiser. Are there any other public comments at this time? And you can talk at the agenda item as well.
Okay, I'll make it brief, though. Darlene Duvall, 1107 Georgina, Ypsilanti, Michigan. Unfortunately, Kirk stepped out, but I would like to pay him a compliment because I did hear him speak about getting the younger people involved. I mentioned it last year. I'm really glad that it's happening because that's where we really do need to start. Not to get to the bad news. I did hand you out some literature. But in all honesty, the only one that we should ever compare ourselves to is Pierce Lake. It is a government-run property. And so to compare us to like Pineview or any of the others, they all have alcohol. They all serve drinks. They all serve food, etc. We cannot compare ourselves. It's like comparing Weber's to the tap room. Sorry, that's the only analogy I know how to do. But, you know, we are just a local golf course and people like to come and enjoy and take care. And I do think that we should offer senior rates. Everybody else does. Green Oaks does not offer them except on a daily basis. But everybody does offer memberships wherever you go. We've inquired. And I guess the other thing is I have heard comments from guys. They don't usually come to these meetings. Their philosophy is, well, if I don't like it, I'll just go somewhere else or whatever. So I'll give you the comments. They were not real pleased with the greens this year actually because it was waterlogged. And I have to say this too, on several occasions when I was out there golfing and I walk, there was water just laying there. And, which is not a good thing at all. So I guess some things are still not appropriate, but guys never seem to want to speak up. So that's how that goes. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay,
I just wanted to make another comment. Timothy King, 1573 Molly Street, Ypsilanti. I'm the golf chair on the Washtenaw County Republican Executive Committee, where we have an annual golf scramble. And Green Oaks was one of the golf courses we were looking at, but it didn't have facilities for restaurants. And if they did have that, we'd go there and have a golf scramble every year. So I just wanted to say that.
okay, thank you, Tim. All right, at this time, if there's no other public comments, we're going to go to the
Sorry, can I just say something right quick? Mitty McMaster, 1180 East Forest, Ypsilanti, Michigan. I just want to let you know, if that's the reason you're being held back from having a golf outing at Green Oaks, you can have it catered, and they do have room now in the clubhouse, since they have removed that monstrosity of thing that was in the middle of it, to set tables up and so forth. So don't let that hinder you from bringing an outing to Green Oaks Golf Course.
Thank you. Thank you, Mitty. Okay. Huh?
Can use community center.
I was going to say, I'd also like
And they've had barbecues, and so Kirk, maybe you can get with Mr. King. All right, at this time, we'll do the consent agenda. We have the minutes of the October 17th work session and regular meeting, and November 9th special work session and the special meeting. I just have one addition to the minutes for November 9th. On page 3, there was no vote on that. I just didn't have a chance in the work session to say that. Uh-huh. It was page 3? Yeah, no. That's okay. We have statements and checks and the October Treasurers Report.
move to approve.
Motion by Doe, supported by Eldridge, to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions? Gerald Rowe? Eldridge?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Lovejoy Rowe? Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Kenny Wilson?
Yes.
Motion carries. The next item is to have a presentation by the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department regarding a community outreach, recovery, enforcement. And I know Commander Marlene Radzik is here, as well as 2 other people from the
Well, thanks for having us. So I'm Washtenaw County Police Services Commander Marlene Radzik. I think I know, or you're familiar with me. And I wanted to introduce the kind of boots on the ground with this program, and that is Deputy Danny Buffa and Community Mental Health licensed social worker Renee Blaze. So a little bit about the program, which in 2018 will be totally like we're running with it at this point. Right now, it's just kind of been not an official program, but we're at the height of this opioid epidemic, as you all know. And so we were looking at ways, I mean, this is something in my 28 and a half years here at the Sheriff's Office, I've never seen anything taking people's lives like what we're dealing with right now. In 2014, there were 3 overdose deaths a week within Washtenaw County, and we're up to now 7 deaths in a week. So what CORE stands for is Community Outreach, Recovery, Enforcement. And we kind of mirrored it to go along with our mission statement and the way we provide service to the community. Creating public safety, providing quality service, and building strong and sustainable communities. So the way that we used to deal with this epidemic is clearly people would be hospitalized because of an overdose, or they'd get arrested. There was inconsistent police response just based on, now with Danny Buffa doing what he does, dedicated time to work with members in our community that suffer from a substance use disorder, along with Renee Blaze. We had inconsistent alignment to resources and services. We're partnering now with Community Mental Health, so many of these people suffering from substance use disorders also suffer from mental illness. So with Community Mental Health on board and the police response, it's a better partnership to tackle the issue. And then just really not addressing the root cause. As Danny will speak, it was like a wagon wheel. People get arrested, they go to jail, they're out before we even get our report done. And with what they do now, it's like taking that stick and putting it in the spoke and stopping it and kind of meeting the individuals where they're at and getting them the services that they need. So now what we're doing is all of our deputies within Washtenaw County have been trained. They carry naloxone. If we do respond to an overdose that is not, thankfully, a death, the individuals are transported to the hospital. There's follow-up care now immediately. We call a number, and resources will be sent to the hospital to attempt an early intervention. And then we follow up with Danny and Renee. Sometimes it's even the two of them going to the hospital to do an intervention. There is, many times these individuals have committed a crime or have felony warrants out for their arrest due to the criminal nature that follows with opioid addiction. But now it's an arrest with follow-up. We start working with them immediately within the correctional facility and try to get them aligned with services. And I'll have Danny speak, kind of run you through a quick case. They can give you the better details on how that works. But basically a warm handoff to whatever they need, whether they're suffering from homelessness, whether or not they need to be in a treatment facility. And we're following up with them and walking every step of the way with them, no matter what their needs are. Improve partnership with the courts and CMH, and partnering with outreach workers that we have here at within Washtenaw County and addressing the root causes of the issue. So right now it's a pilot initiative that we're going to try for 2 years. The partners involved, of course, law enforcement, CMH, outreach workers. We have partnerships with the prosecuting attorney's office to help work with these individuals, public defenders, the specialty courts, probation, parole, and we've aligned resources with Don Farms and Home and New Vision, and sometimes it's even these individuals getting out of the correctional facility and having Danny and Renee actually transport them over to Don Farms and Home and New Vision. And peer-to-peer support in the correctional facility, and this is also, many times we get calls from family members that, their son or daughter hasn't committed a crime yet. They're not in the system, and they don't know what to do. So we even work with, we call them social contacts. So if it's about putting families back together. So Danny and Renee will also work with those individuals too, even if a crime has not been committed. So the ultimate outcomes that we're looking for is a reduction in recidivism, diversion from jail, and moving these individuals from active addiction into long-term recovery. Improve clinical outcomes from those suffering from mental illness and substance use disorders, and also a reduction in calls for service occurring where one of these individuals live. I know we take many quality of life complaints where there might be a drug house on the corner and people are frequenting there. And one of the individuals that we were working with, I looked back and we had about 30 calls for service, quality of life issues in the township, that once we started working with her, we only responded there 2 times within a month as opposed to the 30 times from the month prior. So at this point, I'd just like to turn it over to Danny and Renee, and they can talk a little bit and maybe run you through a quick case and take any questions. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm Danny Buffa with Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office. I've been employed in law enforcement for approximately 18 years, and this is my partner, and she can introduce herself.
Good evening. My name is Renee Blaze. I work with Washtenaw County Community Mental Health. I've been employed with them for approximately 9 years.
So Renee and I began working on a case together approximately 2 years ago involving a robbery case. And that's how we started to work together because the victim of the robbery had substance abuse issues with heroin and cocaine and that sort of thing. I was at a loss. I was at the hospital with this person, and I didn't really know what to do at that point. So I contacted my commander, Commander Radzik, who you just heard from, and she gave me Renee's phone number. And since that time, her and I have been working together, and we're very successful with what we're doing. Without my work on the road as a road patrol officer, she is not able to do things that she would like to do. And without her expertise in her field, I am not able to do what I need to do to get the mission accomplished as well. So together we worked on every case together. And so we'll run you through a case that we have.
So I find it necessary probably to fill you guys in. I'm not just a licensed social worker, but I'm also a peer support, certified peer support through the state of Michigan, meaning that I've had my own life struggles, my own life battles, so I'm also a person living in recovery, which makes me more able to meet the individuals where they're at, to better engage with them. They're more apt to listen to what I'm sharing with them, or kind of follow the suggestions that I put out to them. So I thought that necessary to be said.
Thank you.
So Renee and I were contacted several months ago, at the beginning of this year, by a family that was reaching out regarding a family member of theirs, a son or a daughter, and expressed that their child had substance abuse issues with heroin addiction. And so at that point, Renee and I, we responded out to the mother and father's home, and Renee was able to really get a good interview conducted with these family members. And like I said before, as law enforcement, we don't necessarily do these types of conversations or interviews, and Renee knows how to talk and engage with even family members and people with substance abuse issues. So we went to the house, we spoke with the parents for quite a while, we got a really good background on their child, and we found out that their child had been through all kinds of inpatient treatment centers throughout the United States. The mother and father are sort of well-to-do, so they were able to fund that. While their child was in a inpatient treatment center, they met their boyfriend or girlfriend there, and that person was at the treatment center for alcohol abuse. And since the time of Renee and I working with this family and this couple, this secondary person had been using heroin now for 3 months because they were dating now at this time. So Renee and I were able to gather intelligence from the family. Later on that evening, we had we were in a position to make a traffic stop on these two individuals. And during the traffic stop portion of the investigation, I recovered what I thought was heroin. And so that night, the couple, they were both arrested. The second half had drug paraphernalia, and the other half had the actual drug. So Renee and I, we transported them to the county jail that night, and at that point, I was showing Renee what it looks like to field test evidence. And as any normal officer would think at the time, we believed it to be heroin. And so I began testing it. Well, it wasn't testing positive at all. It was giving me a different kind of answer, I guess. So again, I called Commander Radzik on the phone that night, and I was distraught because I didn't know what to do with the evidence, and we have these two people in jail and that sort of thing. So she, basically, we are using another facility to test our our narcotics now, and the response turnaround time is within 45 minutes of being there. They give us the results verbally, which is basically really the bread and butter of how we perform together. So, to make a long story short, this substance turned out to be almost pure fentanyl. So, the important portion of this case is that those two individuals were going to a location, but before they left home to go to that location to purchase their heroin, there was a third individual that also gave the couple money to, in other words, what we call on the street, copping dope. And so 3 individuals that night, back in February, I believe, in 2017, should have passed away, and our detectives should have been responding to a straight up 3 overdose scenario, possibly deaths. So we have continued our work with this couple. The one person, we were able to move that person through the court system, guide that person through the court system, and place that person into our 14B drug court. And we have been using 14B drug court a lot, and it's a very great program that Renee and I have been using.
So what's a little different, though? Instead of just incarcerating these individuals, right? Or like Danny just explained, the overdose death and the epidemic going on there. Instead of just incarcerating them and leaving it alone at that stage, and letting the courts take over and pass down the sentence or what have you. But we've also been working with prosecuting attorneys, public defenders, magistrates, and judges to, as we're working with these individuals, like Danny just explained, we start from the ground. On the ground with them, whether it be, and some of them aren't always incarcerated, but in a lot of cases they have been. But so we start building that rapport with these individuals then, and with my position as being a person in recovery also, it really helps to build that foundation and that rapport with these people. So we continue through not just the court system, but we visit these people in jail. Continuing that rapport, the conversation with them, getting forward thinking about recovery, treatment, so forth and so on. And let's be honest, like Washtenaw County doesn't have the resources available to handle this epidemic, the treatment that's necessary for all these people, And unfortunately, sometimes I feel like the jail has almost become the new detox in some fashion. And we've also, so we have to look outside the box and come up with different plans or resources for these people, because incarceration is not the answer, right? I mean, they're not bad people, they're sick people trying to get well. And so I've located different, me and Danny both, we use the 14B drug court. I've access to resource out of county, which is a 12-month treatment program that these individuals are eligible to go to. I think we got 6 or 7 out there right now, doing well. We do, after Dawn Farms, Home and Vision, of course. And then after that, after they come out of inpatient treatment, I think is really the crucial part, right? Because in the county, for years, what we've been doing is saying the judge is ordering 90 days to be released to treatment or what have you, right? And so they go out to treatment out of county, but then they come back because this is their home, right? And when they come back with no resources available. They're coming back and going back into the same environment in which they were left. In which they left, right? And that's using people, no natural supports in place, no community supports in place, and so it's failing, right? And so what we've been doing is working with these individuals, even when they come back, they sign a release of information so we can stay in contact while they're out of county in treatment. When they're brought back, then I'm there to catch them and have a sober, I'm utilizing all resources available, transitional beds in the community, right? So I'm utilizing different resources such as, the thrift store and different churches and whatever other monies that is available for me to pay a first month rent for their bed and transitional housing. And then I continue to work with them there until they build a support network in the recovering community. So it just doesn't stop at arrest. It's an ongoing process. The young man and the young lady that Deputy Buford just told you about, we continue to work with them, and it's almost been a year. It's been about 10 months. They're both doing well, building, support back with their families and things like that. So it's not been, bam, success, but it's been a process. But we're there even if they fail, right? Because sometimes, let's be honest, addiction, you don't get it the first time, right?
Especially heroin, right?
Exactly, or any other drug, alcohol, cocaine, anything. And so because they fail or they don't make it the first time, we don't say, oh, that's it, we're done. No, we catch them and we figure out, we put another plan in place, And so they know that they have that support, that rock that, every person that's in that situation needs to succeed.
Only 2 of you?
Yeah, so far. But we're utilizing several people in the community, like 14B Drug Court, we're using Dunn Farms, we're using transitional beds wherever we can,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Are there questions for Stan?
I don't know that I have a question. I mean, to be transparent, when Dan started his career, we worked together in the city. Commander Radzik, you couldn't have found a better deputy. As Mike knows, as Dan knows, we could arrest people day after day after day, and it just got old. And typically, as law enforcement officers, we're not very soft to things. But Renee, you guys, what you're doing is outstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Clerk Rowe?
Is this like, when we went over to the court and saw the graduation of the folks who were going through the drug court program, is that the same group that you're with?
No.
Drug court.
Yeah.
It's not, but what we do is if the person that we're working with and working for is a good candidate for drug court, we will get that person into a good position to be accepted in a drug court because they do have an excellent program.
And then we still support them. We show up to their court dates. We, continue that contact with them. Okay. Just like I said, they need a support. They need that rock that's in place until they can build that solid foundation in order to succeed.
Monica?
Yep.
So one more thing, and then I'll sit down, but what has happened over the course of 18 plus years, and any police officer in this room will tell you that when you have somebody that's in possession that is using on the street, what happens in a normal circumstance for that person is the person is arrested, they are transported to the county jail, the officer is not there for the booking because we have correctional staff that do that, and before that officer is done with that police report, that person is back on the street, and the citizens in Ypsilanti Township are calling on that person once again.
Right.
That's what happens.
Right.
But in our circumstance, we don't allow that to happen.
Great. We have a couple more questions. Monica?
Hello, hi.
Hi.
I know there's a high focus right now on opioids, and it's understandable with the crisis. But I guess I'm wondering about other drugs, other recreational drugs, whether that is cocaine, whether that is crack, whether that is heroin. Are these services also for people who may be suffering from those drug addictions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We're not discriminating. Yeah. Absolutely.
Stan?
Here's our numbers.
Dan, I just had a quick question. I know that part of the program is to discover what the root cause is so you can address it and cease the activity. Hopefully, one of the ancillary benefits is that you also find the root cause of the source to try and get it out of the community as well. Do you deal with that at all and pass that on to the enforcement side?
Yes, we do. Of course.
Great. Well, thank you for doing the presentation and all your efforts, and you need more than two, though, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that statistic was so high in overdoses. Deaths, right?
Yeah. It's
So
very high.
that'll be 364 this year, based on, yeah, that is
very
an
unfortunate.
epidemic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for
your
everything
time.
you're doing and your
Thank-
love and passion for it. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next item's a general legal update. Attorney Winters isn't in the room. So we'll go to the new business budget amendment number 16. Clerk Rowe?
I have a budget amendment to move to increase the general fund by $2,281. That's for PTO payouts to $11,172,727 and approve the line item changes as outlined. And to increase the 14B district court fund by $40,000. That's for the court grant that's on the agenda later tonight to $1,977,300 and approve the line item changes as outlined. I'd so move the budget amendment number 16 for 2017.
Support.
There's a motion by Rose, supported by Ross Williams. Are there questions or comments on that? Hearing none. Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge? Ross Williams?
Yes.
Lovejoy Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
And Wilson?
Yes.
Motion carries. The next item, Mr. Winters, did you have any general legal update? You were out of the room and you missed that.
I can wait and do it at the end of the agenda if you want to, if you want to keep on going.
That would be great. Okay, we'll do it at the end of the agenda. New business number 2 is a request of Jeff Allen, the Residential Services Director, for approval of the 2018 Compost Center pricing.
So move.
Motion Rowe.
Support.
Support Doe. I know Jeff is here. You should have brought the microphone back to you, Jeff.
Hi.
Hi, Jeff.
We made a couple of changes as outlined in the schedule that you have from 2017 to 2018 that we're proposing. Are there any questions on that?
So just to, you had additional wood chips went down to $5 per yard, right? It was $8.50?
Right, well, we created what's called an economy mulch that runs through twice. So we think that gives a better variety of what people can choose from. Because we have to run it twice, the cost of that goes up. But yes, we thought at that point we could drop the price of the regular wood chips.
Yeah, it went from, and then Freon went up a little bit because of the increase.
Cost of getting rid of Freon.
Right.
And the other piece that I thought we had was that you had to remove the door because that's always been a policy anyways, but we didn't have it in here. We always told people on the phone on a refrigerator that you have to remove the door. But surprise to me, we didn't have it listed that you had to remove it, so.
So, okay. So in case anyone says it doesn't say that.
Right.
It'll say.
Yes.
Are there any questions or comments on that? No? Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Lovejoy Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson, motion carried.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is a request of Jeff Allen, Residential Services Director, for approval of the one-year maintenance contracts with O.J. Neal for preventative maintenance and emergency repair of the mechanical systems at the Civic Center, Community Center, 14B District Court, and the LEC building.
So move.
Support.
Motion Rose, support Eldridge. Is there
Thank you again. Yes, you should have in your packet everything on the proposal for 4 buildings in there and the cost centers. There are 4 different cost centers for that. And what we're proposing is that they come out on a regular basis and pick up things that may go wrong to prevent them from going wrong, as belts may break and such. So that is something that we used to have prior to the people who are on the board for when we did all of our Honeywell work. We did have a contract with Honeywell at the time where they would come out and do this work. When we redid everything, spent a lot of money on redoing it all, we got a warranty for a year, and we had a contract that they would come out after that for a period of time. And now the equipment is getting almost up to 10 years old, and we're getting more frequent breakdowns, and so we thought this would be a good way to go about preventing those, addressing them in advance.
And also, I like the idea that they actually teach our maintenance.
Yes, they, with the W.J. O'Neill, they've been very good at I make sure that our maintenance guys are there and they learn, and sometimes it's just simple stuff that, that we don't know, because all of these boilers are, especially the boilers, are computer operated, even not only from the front end, the software end that I can see on the screen, but also once you get in the boiler room, it's all computer operated as well. So the air codes that come up, we learn about what the air code numbers and that sort of thing are, so we know what kinds of things to address. Is it getting warm up there?
It's very warm.
It's very warm.
You did a
I had
good
a note
job.
I had a note from Karen to turn the heat up, so.
It was cold, now it's hot.
Okay, let's go back and turn it down.
Okay, are there any questions? They also do the annual report or the annual safety.
They do the CSD ones on our boilers, yes, which is required by state law to do those.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments? And if this approved, it's going to be in the 2017 budget. We've adjusted the numbers to put them in.
2018 budget.
2018.
Right.
That's going to be adopted in 2017. We have a motion support. Gerald Rowe? Yes. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams? Oh, did you have a question, Monica?
I just want to make sure, this wasn't required to be any type of competitive bid or anything like that, right? Okay, just checking.
It's a
Professional services, thank you. Okay, yes.
And they are a Washtenaw County business, which is great.
Yes, their technicians live in Washtenaw County.
Yes.
Okay. Stumbo votes yes. Doe
Yes.
and Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The next item is a request of Mark Nelson, 14B Magistrate Administrator, for authorization to accept the drug docket grant in the amount of $155,000 for the remainder of 2017 and 18.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion, Lovejoy Rowe, support Gerald Rowe. Would you like to give an overview?
Certainly. So this is our 4th year doing this, our drug court docket. Glad to have Deputy Buffa here to give me my intro tonight. So as he indicated, we are working with that. We currently have 35 people in our treatment court, meaning that they are receiving services and working on moving away from addiction. It's a 2-year program. They're in probation for 2 years, assuming they don't get incarcerated in the meantime. What they'll do is get intensive treatment at the beginning and end of it, and then the treatment curtails off as they get better and need less supervision. Then they start working on life skills. I mean, what we find is that the people coming to our court lack life skills. They don't know how to find housing. They don't know how to find jobs. They don't know how to, some of them don't know how to read. So we're working on all those life skills in addition to the addiction. So first thing you have is trauma, second is addiction, and then third is life skills. I said this is our 4th cycle on this. It's $155,000 this year, slightly down from last year's grant, but pretty similar in the amount and how we'll be allocating it out.
Other questions or comments? So how many people are actually hired? And we're doing it different this year than last year, right?
Yeah, so we have, the coordinator position has changed. We have a new coordinator in place that actually started earlier this year. We'll be bringing in a person to work with more outreach to our participants at the coordinator level. So there'll be a sort of intermediary between that and our peer supports. We're reducing our peer supports to allow additional coordinated levels, which will be more intensive interaction. And then Dawn Farm is providing additional services they receive grant money for to our recipients, which improves their community contacts and improves their contacts out there with additional peer support away from the court as well. So we've gotten that additional support from Dawn Farm as well.
And they're not going to be township employees?
They never have been. They've been,
They were run through?
Yeah, they're always contract employees. This goes back a few years. I don't know. I can't honestly remember why we did it, but yeah, we're putting them on 1099s this year. To
Right.
clarify that for sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's what's changed. That's
Yeah.
a big change that you've done. And
Yeah.
then there was other criteria as far as workman's comp and stuff like that. Is it?
Yeah, and they're like I said, they've all been on contracts. Apparently, this putting on 1099s clarifies that.
So when you're 1099, you can't get unemployment?
Shouldn't be able to. No, they shouldn't be able to get it the way they were either. But as Attorney Winters tell you that there's not much fighting workman's comp these days. They're not very receptive to appeals.
Well,
on
I'm just
workman's
looking at
comp,
the requirements to make, because I know there's a lot of just requirements that we have to do, and I was just wondering if that changed, because one person did.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been eligible in the first place. This puts us in a better position for that.
And this will make it easier
Yes.
for that process. And so in the 18 budget that you discussed at the board meeting, at the work session, this number is not in that, right?
I'd given Giovanna, when we did the presentation or got our numbers together in July, we didn't have the grant award. So when we got the grant award contract, I sent the numbers to Giovanna to prorate over the 2 years. So I don't know.
She's going to
That
come
was
back
put
to
in.
the budget amendments, I asked.
Well, there is a
So-
budget amendment.
No, she was going to, we did do a budget amendment, because part of it's already provided.
But I
The
was,
grant's covered, right? Is that what you're asking? Yeah.
but I'm just trying to get the 2018 budget that the board will be voting on, because this is going to affect that number.
Yeah.
It's going to affect because it's only, I think it was 117,000 budgeted for 2018.
That would be right, because then the 40,000 would be this year, right? Was it prorated?
You have 130,000 budgeted for 18. Does that,
So that's less than the 155, so that would have been, there was a proration there. And we'll have to do at the very beginning of next year is come back and fix those numbers of what they're actually going to be. And we'll have to do a budget amendment to show what we actually spent in 17 and then redo 18 to reflect what we have remaining.
so the 2017 grant is done?
That ended in September 30th, yeah.
Okay. So the revenues and expenditures, other than that one check, then that closes that grant out?
Correct, yeah. So since beginning October 1st, we've been spending 18 funds.
The 155,000 funds?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Fiscal year drives you crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's not easy doing this. And so you'll provide reports and updates like you have in the past?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, measurements on it, because I know I think we're the only court in Washtenaw County that actually does this.
The drug court, yeah. We've been
So-
successful. We had, the graduation the board members attended. We had one, and since then we've had 2 others, and I think we have 2 more coming up. And the nice thing about the graduations is that gives us space to bring more people in to start from the beginning. So we certainly don't have a lack of potential customers, so.
Right, great, okay. Any more comments or questions?
I just
Clerk Rowe?
think, I think I've been to 2 of your graduations now, and the last one, the more recent one I went to, it was just amazing. And what really amazed me was, they actually had the pictures, because I don't think the first time you had that.
Yeah.
But they had the actual pictures of the arrests when they come in, and then then the people are there in person. It's like, you wouldn't even recognize these people on the street, that like, there's like a physical
Oh, yeah.
change, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And everybody, it's like a family, you know, you could just feel the sense of warmth between the people who were there and between Judge Pope. You know, he knew them all on a first name base and asked about their kids or whatever. Yeah, it was amazing just to watch the graduation and what they showed, where they'd come and where they were going.
Yeah, they certainly do develop a sense of community amongst themselves.
Yes.
And Judge Pope's seeing each one of them every 2 weeks. I mean, it's a very intensive probation.
And the community mental health worker that was here, Blaze, what was her first name?
Renee.
Yeah, when she was talking about the recovery community, it's like there's definitely a community of support and stuff that was there by outside folks helping them too. So I think it's a great thing that we're doing. Proud of it.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully some of the dollars from the county millage will help with some of this.
Yeah,
Great
that'd
stuff
be
that
nice, yeah.
y'all are doing. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, Gerald Rowe?
Yeah.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Lovejoy Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Motion
Thank you.
is carried. Thank you, Mark. The next item, number 5, is a request of Kirk Sherwood, the second director of golf, for approval of 2018 golf course rates and approval of the cart storage contract.
So moved.
Motion Rowe,
Support.
support Doe.
Should talk about it.
Yeah, this is discussed. Yeah.
Good evening. I've actually got a handout just to hand to the board here regarding some of the information and justification.
And for the person typing the minutes, it's Kirk Sherwood, our golf director.
Thanks, Kurt.
Okay.
Okay. So what I handed you, basically I made a 4-page packet. The first packet lists how many members we had, how many spouse add-ons. So we had 54 members, 5 spouse add-ons. Then I broke it into categories, though, just to kind of show a price per round, with the difference between the resident and the non-resident being roughly $3.50 to $4. I'm looking at it here. Hold on one second.
Are you on the first page?
I am on the first page.
Okay.
In regard just to the membership rate, and I'm raising it up to $5.50. Basically, on the second page, when you move through there, it actually lists every member, and I highlighted the lowest rate out of each category. You will find that there is a major difference in the price between a resident and a non-resident, which you would expect. But when you look at the 7-day non-residents on the second page, there's 2 outliers that really drag that number down. Otherwise, it'd probably be a little bit bigger. What I found, though, is those rates are all kind of in comparison to where they should be, including the 7-day rate. So I raised the 5-day rate for the simple fact that, as they mentioned, Pierce Lake does have a rate that's $5.25 for a senior. But as she was talking and mentioning the fact with leagues, it only includes 1 league, which is similar to the situation I put in place. In the next league,
I'm sorry, you on page 3?
just on the second page, talking in regard to the membership stuff.
So you have 7-day residents and there's 6 of them?
Correct.
Oh, I see.
So there's
And then
6
you have
7-day residents. Out of the 5-day residents, we had, 7 through number 40. And for 7-day non-residents, we had 7. And 5-day non-residents, we had 7.
So you took the number of rounds?
I took how many rounds they played divided by the price they paid to get the numbers that are there on the average for the rounds.
So the average is, I'm sorry, Supervisor Stumble, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So the average comes from whatever they're paying for their
Correct.
membership divided by how many times that person actually plays.
Correct. So for a 7-day resident, they paid $800. You divide that by 61 in the first column. For a 5-day resident, they paid $500. You divide that, if you looked at number 7, by 88 to get that number.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm really having a hard time understanding let's just look at the 7-day residents for a minute.
Sure, absolutely.
Under number 3, So a resident who lives in Ypsilanti and played 141 rounds on average would pay $567.
That's correct.
So what is the significance, like what made you detail the numbers this way?
I just wanted to show what the average was per membership for each person that was a member at the golf course.
That's paying for a round of golf?
Correct.
Gotcha.
So they're using their memberships, and they're rightfully so allowed to. But in looking at this, the next highest rate in this area is $625 compared to us at $500, which moves you into the next page, which shows a list of various golf courses and 7-day and 5-day memberships.
So what, say what's on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Say what do you want us to see on page 3? Say it again.
So when you look at page 3, and you look at the only rate I was looking to change was the 5-day resident rate.
Gotcha.
So if you look at various golf courses in the area, and again, it's not every golf course in the area, but it's a sample, it lists all the 5-day rates. The next closest rate to us is $625 if you exclude the one senior rate at Pierce Lake.
So where is Pierce Lake? Sorry.
Chelsea.
Madam Chair.
No, I just didn't know where it was.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, I mean, when you're looking at these numbers, it's kind of impossible to tell. I mean, just the sample size, like you probably have a few members who use their passes a lot, rightfully so. Right?
Correct.
So
He has them all on here.
I know, but so it like
everyone.
skews the it's kind of like pointing out that like you use your membership a lot, and so of course your rates are going to be lower. But that's the intention of having a pass, like a season pass. So
Correct.
I guess I'm just not sure, like what,
I think if I understand it, on page 2, in the second column, he has a 5-day non-resident, and the average for Ypsilanti is $852, is that correct?
Well, all of the numbers combined in each category are broke down on the first page. So if you were a 7-day resident in Ypsilanti, you averaged $8.39. If you were a 5-day resident in Ypsilanti, you averaged $7.74.
For a round of golf,
Correct.
for 18?
Per round of golf for an 18-hole round, or a 9-hole round, because they're starts. I mean, some of them could have been 9-hole rounds, but you're counting starts.
okay. I guess, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I have my question now, it's formulated. So like you have like these two extremes, like you have people who, play 123 rounds of golf, and you have someone that does 26. So like those are the extreme opposites, but what's the average? That's what, I really think that's the number we should look at.
The average is on the first page.
That's what he was trying to say, the very first page of the,
He's showing you, page 2 is showing you where
how he drew.
page 1 came from. The average, and basically what he's trying to show, this is how I'm interpreting it, is that we're still the best deal going with the exception of Pierce Lake for retirees. That even if you only do 26, you're still getting cheaper than you would if you walked down the course.
Correct.
And then just for clarification, I get it, but I want to make sure I'm clarifying it correctly. You are taking the number of rounds, you're adding those, and doing an average of basically 6. So basically the average of the total number of rounds divided by 6, and the average of the total dollars divided by 6 to come back to get to the 7-day resident being the average price per round at $8.39, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that's clarified.
And the reason I wanted to show this is because I know there was a question earlier regarding why I didn't raise the non-resident rate for the 7-day or the 7-day resident rate, because those are positioned where I would figure they would be.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just one more question. Okay, so going to page 3, right? You're saying that the 5-day residential rate should go to $550. And then I'm looking at Pierce Lake, right? They have, and that one is the one that's in Chelsea, correct?
Correct.
Okay. They have a senior-only rate of $525. I guess here's my question. Is it a possibility to add a senior-only rate in Ypsilanti Township at Green Oaks, or no?
I mean, I guess we could, but the majority of the membership is seniors, so you'd be basically putting every person at the senior membership.
Okay, so you're saying average, okay, so.
For the most part, you're talking probably 90% would be that senior rate.
Okay, go ahead.
And,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Sam.
I'm just thinking out loud because a lot of times people come before us and we always talk about a different rate for seniors or certain other categories. If most of your members, as you just said, are seniors who are on fixed incomes generally, how do you justify then raising the rate?
Well, I guess the only other one in this area is 125 higher than us, so I'm just wondering if we feel that being 500 is where you want to be. I'm taking a look at the budget, trying to figure out what the best solution is for where we're at, and I'm looking at what seems to be fair based on the going rate in the area.
So you're proposing to increase the 5-day resident rate from,
It's $25 or $50, what was it?
500 to 550, so a $50 increase.
so 500 to 550. And then the spouse or
Right.
significant other?
It was an increase of 25 on the 5-day and 50 on the 7-day.
So, and how much was that, the spouse? Or I don't know what terminology you're supposed to use.
The 5-day was 225, so it'd be looking to increase it to 250 for the additional of the spouse.
So that would be a 750 total versus 725? Do I have that right?
800 opposed to
500 to 525?
Opposed to $75 less, right? 625? Because the one went up 25, one went up 50?
You're changing the spouse resident to 275, are you? Isn't that
that's on the 7-day, not the 5-day. The 5-day was a $25 increase.
So 5-day,
5-day was a $25 increase, the 7-day was a $50 increase because you get 2 more days out of the membership.
so it's $75 more. You're saying that's still less than Pierce Lake?
Anybody else? Exception of Pierce Lake.
With the exception.
Pierce Lake is $525 for the first member. I don't have the data as what the second member would be. Do you have it?
Madam Chair.
It just says,
Madam Chair.
it says 725 and 225.
That's for card.
But isn't that with a card for Pierce
So the 5-day,
Pierce Lake is $725 with a card.
okay.
Yes.
I don't have that paper with me, so I don't know.
Well, she gave it to me, right? Is that what you gave me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine, thank you.
So
But-
it says 725 with a card and 225 without. Is this with a card or without a card? Does it include a card?
It's $525 without a cart, add $200 to get the cart.
So there we go to 725
Correct, including cart.
with card.
Well, with us, it would be $1,000.
And then,
$1,050.
just a minute, I'm trying to, so 725, and then the spouse would be, with a card is, how much is this spouse, or do they ride together?
You didn't have that. You didn't have that for Pierce Lake, right?
No, I didn't. We're talking
No, I'm
about
just-
Pierce Lake with,
No, I'm asking you, so you don't have a rate for people who,
here it would be 500 and then 500 for the cart, so it would be 1,000 for a single person for a 5-day membership with cart.
Well, it would be $550 if the rate increase goes in.
Madam Chair, you're looking at the 5-day.
this is very confusing.
Well, you're looking at the 5-day?
Yeah.
Or if I'm reading it right,
I mean, maybe it's because I'm reading.
a 5-day at Pierce Lake with a cart would be $950. For a senior, a 5-day at Pierce Lake with a cart would be 7.25. Add the spouse, it's 1,050.
If that's what it is
That's
to
what
add
I'm
the
reading
spouse,
here.
I didn't have that piece of information.
Yeah, and for a 5-day at Green Oak would be 550 proposed, add 250 proposed for a spouse for 800.
Correct.
And then you would have to include a cart on top of that if you chose to ride.
Correct, which would be 500 per player, so it'd be 1,000
So it'd be 1,000 on top of the 800.
for both people, yes.
So our cost for a 5-day membership with a cart would be approximately 1,800 proposed. And at Pierce Lake, it would be 1,050. Am I saying that right? If I'm not, let me know.
I would think that with a cart, it's more than that for a couple with a cart.
Yeah, because you just got one person on here. He didn't have the spouse. We don't know the spouse number, right? Do you guys know it?
Spouse number for,
Or Pierce Lake? We don't have.
yeah, it's right here on this sheet.
So does it say what it is to add the additional
What's
cart?
on this sheet?
It does. The sheet that was handed to me, if I take these numbers as correct, the very top course is Pierce Lake. A senior 5-day is 7.25 with a cart. Adding a spouse is 225, which would be in the same cart, I would assume. That makes it 1,050 for a 5-day with a cart. And if I'm hearing right, our cost would be approximately 1,800 for that same package. So we'd be about 750 more, which is what I would be concerned with if we agree that most of our members are seniors, a fixed rate in their income, 750 is a lot for 1 year. That's my thought.
Okay.
Well, that's what they would pay now. That's what you're paying
Correct,
now.
that's what
if
the rate
you're-
was last year,
Yeah, I mean, I
with the
think,
exception of $50 on one membership and then 25, so a $75 difference.
$225 to add a spouse Monday through Friday, and it's 100, that's for riding, or 110 for walking. And if you do the 7 days, it's 250, well, that's the same.
so the
Same.
spouse for,
Or no, it's 250 at, for the 7 day, and it's 225
Madam Chair.
at Pierce.
Pierce Lake for the spouse?
Yeah, that's this year's rates. I don't know what next year.
Right,
you have
these rates I gave you were for this year. There's nothing saying they don't go up next year either, but.
Yeah, we don't know what the rates are for next year, so we're kind of not comparing apples and oranges.
I still am kind of like, I mean, we offer senior packages for everything else that we do in the township. And so I would agree with trustee Ross Williams that there's really some, I mean, I know that we want to look at the revenue of the golf course. Like, it makes me insane because we don't make any money from the golf course. We spend way too much money on the golf course, yes. But I don't think that the seniors and not having a package for them at a reduced rate makes any sense, and it surely doesn't fit with our philosophy of like providing senior rates for every other thing that we do in the township except for this. Additionally, I know that, of course, the board packet outlines all the changes that you want to make, but I would really appreciate getting like this information sooner. And I know last time you were here to talk about the rate changes, I was here, and
Right, well,
it's just a lot. And so, I mean, if it's at all possible for you to send this to be included in the board packet ahead of time, that would be helpful.
sure.
Because the reason I bring that up is that the 7-day residents, I added both of those twice, and I don't believe that the average that's outlined on the page 1 is accurate. I've done it twice, but I'm also like really pregnant, so maybe I did my math wrong, but I did it twice and it looked fine, and it didn't match what was on the first page. I mean, by about 73 cents. So
Okay.
I would just like to.
Did you say 73 cents?
Yeah, it was different by 73 cents.
I rounded a couple times. I don't know if that caused it.
I mean, that's 73 cents is kind of a lot for rounding.
So-
That's almost a dollar.
So just as a
Okay,
quick
I just wanted to
side,
make sure you said, I didn't hear what you, that's what I'm saying, okay.
as a quick side note to this, I mean, obviously, we were increasing the rate. I also proposed a couple different things in the membership package that went along with this raise, but we currently end our season on November 1st. With the $50 raise, I was looking to end the season on November 15th and give 15 more days to the season. I also was looking to allow them, if they had a 5-day pass, to play at a discounted rate on the weekends, which was introduced in the packet as well. Because again, I wouldn't do it without trying to balance it and see what might be fair to do something like that. But again, I have no issues if we want to keep it where it's at, and that's what you guys want to do, that's fine with me. But I say we, leave it at November 1st, then we'll close November 1st to the memberships as it already is.
Wait,
Go ahead.
just a moment here. Monica, were you first? Monica.
Okay, Madam Chair, thank you. Okay, I'm not necessarily opposed to raising a rate. I guess my concern is that, okay, and I don't want to, seniors are, there's, it's different definitions on seniors in regards to age. I don't want to have an age discussion. What I want to do is actually have a longevity discussion, okay? So if some of our seniors have been loyal to the golf course for extended period, I think we need to give them consideration for, some type of discount. I'm not sure what. Is it a discount on the rates? Maybe something at the pro shop, maybe, I don't know, extra amenities. But we need to do something for our seniors that have been loyal to our golf course throughout the hard times. I hope that makes sense. That's where I'm kind of coming from. Yeah.
There is a senior discount in place Monday through Friday. It's a lower rate than the regular rate.
That's not for members. And then if you play on leagues, you can't qualify. Sorry, Madam Chair. My understanding from what I heard is that if you play in leagues and you, it starts at your senior rate starts at, or it's at every time, I guess. But my understanding was that if you play in multiple leagues, it doesn't really help you that you have that senior discount that goes through the day. Is that correct? No. Mitzi, right? Mitzi? So if you play on multiple leagues, my understanding from your explanation was that senior discount that we currently have in place doesn't really help alleviate any of the cost.
Well, in the years past, when
You need to go to the microphone.
Sorry.
I really do, it's really important that people direct questions to me so I can ask.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
No, I mean, don't be, I'm
Thank
just
you.
trying to help get organization here. And Stan, I'm sorry, you were supposed to be next.
What do you want me to do?
She asked you a question, so.
Oh,
she
okay, I
wanted
didn't,
to-
okay. In years past, when you've had a membership at Green Oaks Golf Course, whether it's 7 days or 5 days, you could play as a member, as a privilege, as an incentive in league play. So he is implementing this year that if you want to play in more than one league, you have to pay $100 for every league that you want to play on. If I am buying, whether it's a 7-day or a 5-day membership, I should be able to call that golf course and get a tee time whenever a tee time is available. If I have a 5-day membership, that should start from 7 o'clock in the morning till, 8 o'clock till they close in the summertime. It shouldn't make any difference if I'm playing on a 5 o'clock league that I should have to pay another $100 out of my pocket to play on a league. That's my objection to this. And it doesn't bother me as much as the $50 and the $25 and the other $50 for the $300 for the cart storage. It's the idea that every year we come here and it's always placed on the members. And I do give Kirk credit this year for at least presenting it in November, and you don't hit us in March when you got to pay it in April and you're going to be paying extra money. That is my big concern, is if we keep raising this and raising it, is it fair to us that have played there for 20 years or longer to keep putting this in the money, and we don't have it because we're living on a fixed income? And we want to support every recreation that Ypsi Township has to offer. It's just not at the golf course. And I think that if they're looking for new ways to raise revenue at that golf course, an excellent idea would be to put a simulator in there and there's golf leagues that play all year long on a simulator, and they could bring extra revenue into that golf course. Find out what it costs. I don't know how expensive, but I know we pay $260 to hit a golf ball at a screen at a different course and play teams and do it all year long. There's ways to raise revenue besides hitting it on the members' back. And I appreciate your listening to me, and I'll live with whatever you decide. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But I feel like that they need to look for it someplace else except members.
Kurt,
Thank you.
You need to come. Kurt needs to come back up so he can address it. Stan is next. He's been waiting patiently.
Real quick, just to let you know, a new simulator costs about $90,000. So just to throw that out there.
Okay.
It'd be a good idea. I would love to have a simulator and run simulator leagues, but that's what you're looking at roughly.
Really?
Maybe get someone to do.
You get a refurbished one for maybe $60,000.
We'll have to talk because a friend of mine just bought 3 new ones at $42,000 each.
Then it's probably just not what I'm used to being able to see where I was at.
Yeah, we can talk on that one later.
Yeah, sure.
Kurt, my question was, historically, since I started playing at that golf course before I was 10 years old, and I'm only 20.
Oh, it ain't that old. No.
I appreciate the friendship from the supervisor. That golf course allowed golf to be played until the weather stopped it. We might not have been able to use the carts on certain days, but we would play well into December. There were a few years we played into January. My question is, if we're struggling for revenue, why would we close on November 1st?
No, he didn't close on November 1st.
No, I closed as of Sunday. We were open up until Sunday.
Why would we close?
The seasonal passes go from a certain date till November 1st.
The membership ended November 1st, but the golf course stayed open up until Sunday. I closed as of Sunday because of the stretch of cold weather moving in, with the exception of, obviously, we've got a nice day on Friday, but then after that, it's all 35 and less.
Is there a possibility moving forward this year and in forthcoming years that we could stay open longer if the weather cooperates?
Correct. I mean, as long as I'm there Monday through Friday, I can stay open if I'm there. I will be gone most of December, though.
Okay, which leads to my follow-up. If we stay open, let's say, until December 1st, why would we shut the memberships down on November 1st?
That was what was agreed upon in the contract last year.
I know.
Who agreed upon that?
We did.
Did we vote on that?
Mm-hmm.
With the closing of November 1st?
I believe so.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It was voted on and passed last.
I know.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Stan, I think the reason why we did that is because of the, what do you call, I'm going to say snow mold. Is that the proper?
Well,
so we didn't aerate them? Is that, there's a process that you do. Most golf courses close down in order to do whatever.
The members at Green Oaks got away from, we stopped doing the aerification a few years back because they complained about the holes being on the greens. And then the water wouldn't drain off the greens, and then we had problems with the grass dying, and then that was the year we had these so-called complaints, and
well, it was mold, or what was it?
Yep, it was
What do you call
just
it?
dead.
Snow mold?
Everybody
Ice
had it
damage.
everywhere. It was because of the amount of snow that we had that stayed on there with the melting underneath, right?
Right, and
the weather
the
started
golf
getting
courses
warm.
that closed down
All had it.
recovered, but this golf course did not close down at all. So we had to go out there and hit golfers playing on top of it, with the mowers going on top of it, with compaction. Stan was out there and he saw the whole thing for himself.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Remember that, Stan? In 2014?
So what do? You do 9 holes? I know you did it this year, too.
We did all 18 holes at one time.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't even golf. I don't. Sorry, Stan.
So now like last year, we talked about closing down on the 1st of November, so we were able to get the aerification done on the fairways, the greens, the tees, get things picked up, because after the 15th of November, we don't have any employees, just Bob and myself. So we're trying to get everything cleaned up, get all the leaves chopped up or picked up, and then go into the winter.
But if it was beautiful weather,
Oh, yeah.
there was
Yep.
one year, okay.
Yeah, Kurt and I had talked about keeping 9 holes open. I could aerify and do the things I have to do on 9 holes,
Right.
and they would play the other side, so.
Stan, I'm sorry.
Again, I've been there playing a long time, probably longer than anybody in this room. We had 1 year, as I recall, 2014, where we had that issue, but that was in the spring that we found those problems, if I recall. Maybe it was the fall that caused it. But again, was that an aberration or is that the norm? What I'm trying to get across is we're paying over $100,000 from the general fund. Doesn't it behoove us to try to stay open as long as we can, allow people to come out and golf as long as they can, whether there's one person working the course or 100? The opportunity to generate revenue out there should be the paramount concern, provided we don't damage the course.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct. So what I want to know then, if we stay open, are we going to be able to keep staff longer than November 15th? I mean, to keep staff on so somebody else can be at the golf course and work, opposed to, Tim loses his guys the 15th. I've cut all my guys at this point. So with the exception of putting an assistant in position who would be able to run the golf course when I'm using my vacation between November or March, somebody's got to be able to be at the golf course to have it open. If I'm not available, who's there to open it?
Well,
I'm sorry. You've done a very good job of detailing the rounds played and everything. Maybe we could detail how many rounds are played in the month of November and December from past years, if those records are available. I'm not sure we need a lot of people out there. You're not going to keep the same number of hours. And nobody's saying staying open every day so that you don't get to spend time with your family. I'm just saying, can we prolong the season? That's all.
I mean, at this point, prior to...
dependent on the weather.
Yeah, and nobody's asking anybody to work 24/7, 365. That's not what I'm getting across.
I appreciate that.
And certainly we all know the golf course is probably not going to be open in January, February, which would be an ample time to take time off. But for 40 years, Mr. Jackson was able to keep that course open quite a bit. And again, we had an aberration. I'm just saying, if we're striving to make money, let's just at least consider it.
Well, no, I would definitely consider it. I mean, I'm going to be there Monday through Friday anyway. I mean, that's up until the point where I'm on vacation in December. What was the last part you just said, Stan? I'm sorry.
Just to consider keeping it open longer and
before that,
allowing.
What do other golf courses do?
Other golf courses, it varies.
Pierce Lake
I mean,
do?
on that list, Pierce Lake shut down last week, before last week.
It depends. I've seen people on
What
Bellows
does Eagle
Creek.
Crest do?
I mean, but,
Eagle Crest shut down last week as well when I called them and talked to them.
but we do, I mean, I don't, because you haven't been here as long, but I know that all the years that we've been here, like, if it's nice, we open, and Debbie, Ed Gorney, and I think Javana, everybody was out there in the spring when we opened in February or something, because it was nice for a couple of days.
And
I mean, we do that. If the weather's nice, we open, or we don't, or we open back up. I mean, we always do that.
So do we propose any point in time where we close down for a short period for Tim to get the maintenance stuff done and then reopen back up and then allow memberships to be valid again? I mean, is that something that we could consider doing?
Well, no, we have to do that. That's one thing we learned, is that we have to do that to the
You have to do whatever the maintenance you gotta do.
You don't do it, then you get.
to the greens.
What does it do if you don't?
You have to do that. Everyone does that.
Yes.
So you have to
Every
do
golf
that.
course does that.
Yeah. Monica?
Yeah, Madam Chair, thanks. Okay, so I got to go back on a couple of things. Number one is you asked the question, if the course is going to stay open longer, should the, seasonal staff stay on longer? And I'm hearing can't. So if they can't, and you still have to, take whatever vacations that you have, that's kind of like an oxymoron. So something would have to change there. Either staff would have to stay on longer, or you had to change your vacation. And yeah,
Well,
so I don't know if this is a realistic discussion at this point. I'm not sure.
As of right now, per my contract, my vacation time has to be used between November and March.
Okay, all right.
So-
Okay. That's number one. Number two is, and I know I'm pressing this issue, Kurt, I'm sorry. to try and get some type, and I know that we are basically, if they do 5-day, I'm assuming, courses, if they come to the course, right, and it's not a part of their membership, but they want to play, they can get some type of discount. But I really, really want to try and figure out, and maybe this can be more of a one-on-one with yourself and I or something. What can we offer our seniors that continue to support our golf course and have been loyal to our golf course as incentive? I think that's something that would show good faith, you know, and I don't know how we can work that, but, you know, I wish we could find a bridge there. Does that make sense?
I mean, could we consider doing $500 for a senior membership and $550 for a non-senior for a 5-day and go that route?
Can I ask a question?
I mean,
Just, yeah. What was your statement? I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry.
oh, I just said as an alternative, can we consider leaving it at $500 for seniors 60 and older, and then consider doing $550 for the membership for non-seniors for a 5-day then?
I'm fine. I can tell you that I'm fine with that. I would be fine with that.
I just wanted to say, I know the bottom line here, and I think, and many even said it, we all said it, we know that we've got to raise more money. The question is, how do we do it? I think Minnie had one idea. She said, I don't have a problem with whatever you said, 25 or 50 or that. Your problem was that. I don't know, but I know you know, Kurt, how much money all this was going to raise, and I think even Minnie knows, because she looked at it, and she knows the numbers, and she figured it, you know, people who know this know, right?
Sure.
And so I don't know what that number is. If it's $5,000, whatever.
We're not going to rebalance the budget on.
No, but I'm just saying, so let's say it's $5,000, just, you know, anecdotal here. $5,000, and Minnie said she's all right with so and such, so that's another $500 that you're going to get a year out of everybody. Can we figure out a way to get your other $4,500 that everybody agrees to? I think that's the bottom line. No one wants to hurt the seniors. We love the seniors, and they are. The truth of the matter is, all the years that the golf course made a lot of money, a lot of it was made off of seniors who were young and worked hard at the plants and paid a lot of money and golfed every day, you know, all those times. And we had gobs of money they gave to the I can't remember, Brenda probably can remember, we paid for a lot of things in this township from the funds off of that golf course. This recent thing has really just been a 2008, kind of maybe a little bit earlier, 2006. You know, it's been like the last 10, 12 years because of the economy and the shifts in culture, what people are doing and stuff too. So I agree that, whether it has to be some kind of special knick-knack or something or whatever Monica wants, whatever. But I just think what we need to do is fix it so you can raise the money, because that's what we want you to do, and still keep it going. So I don't know, maybe you have a proposal, maybe you can come up with it next time. I don't think you got to do it here. I mean, unless you just want to, unless you know the numbers well enough right now and say, hey, why don't we do it this way? Because I think there was a couple comments that Minnie made about she didn't have a problem with this. I think her issue was with not being able to do league play and you charging her again. I mean, that's how she
Well,
viewed
that's a common practice most places.
No, I'm just saying,
It's not something that I just came up with out of the blue.
You just came up with that?
No, I did not. It's a common practice
So it's
in most
common that
places.
people play the resident rate and then they got to pay for leagues on top of it?
The part you don't know with Pierce Lake is you buy the membership for $725, then your next league fee is $300 and something after you get one league.
Yes. Oh. And I know, and we're not them, and I'm not, I mean, we just use that as kind of a measurement, but at least that's what I'm hearing.
There's things in the background that you can't see, and that's the way it works sometimes in the golf business. I think Stan will agree. Is it that far out of the ordinary that sometimes you pay an extra amount for leagues when you look at sites and you look at like Pine View, or you look at another place like that? Pine View's that way. It's right. I'm just looking at options. If you guys don't agree with them, that's fine by me. I'm just throwing it out there.
And I know Pierce Lake is a place, but I know, of course, I'm an Ypsi girl. I ain't driving out there anyway. So, and plus the gas is going to cost so much. And I know that was you're just using that to balance. And I just also want to say, all these are seniors. So when we're saying we're looking for, they are seniors. So whatever you're doing here is a senior rate, for memberships, because there's no memberships that aren't seniors, right? I mean, yeah.
Madam Chair.
There's a couple,
but yeah. And they are paid the $20 around because they can't go out there as much.
Dan.
There's a solution.
Before Heather.
Kurt, just to change, you and I talked earlier about your military discount.
Yes.
And I asked you if that was for current or retired, and you said it'd be a point of discussion.
I would honor it for anybody that has a valid card.
That's what I was hoping. Okay.
Yeah.
And then lastly, They mentioned the simulator earlier. We can also rent those, so we don't have to own it. We can keep it for 3 or 4 months, rent it, send it back, make the money off of it, so.
Okay, well, that's a good thought. I like that idea.
Heather?
Just my thought on the senior thing is, like, I know that probably the majority of our members might be seniors, but moving forward, I don't want to see in the township 3 years from now, we come back and say, oh, why don't we have a senior rate for this? Like, if it's something that we need to have as a process in place, that we have a senior rate for our golf, for the 5-day, for the 7-day, for all of that, I support having a separate senior rates for those, not just the weekday senior rate.
Madam Chair,
Larry?
if we are talking about seniors, I'd be real curious of what a senior is. Is it 60? Is it 62?
Defined as 60 plus.
Or is it 55?
60 plus, as far as our memberships
what?
go. 60 plus as far as our memberships go.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that, but I think that would be a board decision, but I would think 60, 62 would be classified as a senior. Because I was really surprised that when we talked about senior prices or whatever many years ago, it was 55. Everybody was 55 was a senior. Anyway.
Good news for Brenda and I.
Okay, so
I was just going to make a suggestion, because we've talked about so many different things. Is there urgency to have this done tonight? Can it wait to the next meeting so we can look at different things? Is that going to change?
It's not gonna change anything.
Will it
as far
impact any?
as-
Won't impact you at all?
No.
We can come back with maybe a clear sheet without all these notes and moving things around and not really understanding what we might approve.
yeah, and I agree with that, but I do want to just say that in the work session, and I'm not saying, I don't know enough about raising the rates on the seasonal. It looks like there's only one other golf course that might be less, but we're not sure because they
No,
don't have
there is
their-
only one golf course that's less than us, and that is, I don't know if there's
but
another.
They don't have their 2018 rate yet either.
Correct, but I
So
don't.
I don't know what that is.
I don't think there's another golf course anywhere around that is at $500 for a 5-day membership that I've found yet.
Right, and that is what I gathered. And if we're saying to them, don't raise the rates, even though statistically it might not be, right, because we're, according to you and according to even the information that was provided, this might be low. That's fine, but you can't beat up on them when we got to give them money from other funds either. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We can't have it both ways where
Madam
you
Chair.
don't want to really increase rates, which I understand, but you can't then say, well, we got to have revenue. If you increase the rates too much on the daily play, people won't play.
Right.
Right? And we're right at that level. Is that, my understanding is that we're right there at that level. So that's why you looked at the other rates. I just wanted to, okay. So I agree. I think we should table this before Larry Doe has something, a comment.
Yeah, the only thing I'd ask is, I'd be curious of what Pierce Lake's budget is. Are they being supplemented from the county or not? I'd be real surprised, or are they running an even budget? I don't know if you can get that paperwork or not. I'd just be curious.
I could talk to the facility manager. I just talked to him last week on the phone. Like I said, their membership on the site says it ends December 31st. They closed a week and a half ago. So it's for the fiscal year, but they were closed at this point. So whether they're being supported in a different way, I don't know. I do know when I talked to them that a large majority of their rounds come from Groupon. I mean, I was able to look at the site and see how many were sold, and there's a large portion coming from Groupon. And they also start a twilight fee for $30 at 2 PM, which packs the golf course as well.
So if you could provide also more information on, because if you had every 7-day and 5-day, membership, they could have a league and not pay anything. Like if you had a league, I'm not saying they would, but if they all got together and said, let's have a membership league.
Oh, absolutely. It'd just be a standing tee time, and they could
Which I'm
book
not
it.
saying they would do that, but what does other courses do in regards to charging? So you give them one free one, right? One free, you don't charge them to be on one league.
But I think then at that point, you've got to define what a league is, and I'm going to define a league as money up front for half the season and pay the other half the season to reserve the tee times. Anything else would be
Because
considered
that's
a
another
group.
increase you're proposing this year that was not,
A $1 increase, correct.
Okay, so we just need to understand that as well. And we didn't have a work session, so in fairness, I mean, we had one, but we didn't get to talk about it. So I support tabling.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I could say something. Kurt, how much revenue would this actually increase? Did you project that out?
With 50, roughly 50 members, what was the increase? I put $50, so $2,500 to $3,000.
All right. And how realistic do you think it could be to start looking at a beer and wine license or any kind of food options to further progress?
I would like to try to look at getting a liquor license for the 2019 season.
19?
That's kind of on my agenda at this point. So obviously we need to see what numbers are doing in this year coming up and everything else, but I would like to look into that without a doubt for the 2019 season. It's on my agenda.
All right, great. And last thing, we've spent, what did we spend, almost $500,000 on capital outlay on the golf course. If a simulator was $90,000 or maybe $50,000 if Stan has a connection, I mean, really.
Deal for it.
Yeah, deal. I mean, we spent that much, and if this is a potential revenue maker, we really need to look at a simulator.
I agree with you. It was a thought I had originally, but based on where the budget was at, it was something I didn't bring up as a capital improvement. Because I also looked into the option of trying to figure out maybe a possibility of putting a range someplace as well, but I just can't find the land that would give us the chance to do that at the golf course.
Across the street.
I want a bunch of land over there.
I guess the question would be, Stan, is if, and I think it'd been proposed at one point in time to look at where the tennis courts were at, but how much room actually is back until you get to that house? You know, is that 250 yards? Is it 280? Is it 300? Is it 240?
I do know.
It looks pretty close.
Leon looked at it, and the gentleman that was after him, house. Is that- Justin. And they brought up the same issues about the length of it, and also across the street, and how would you, you'd have to hire more people to manage it as well. But I know that people have wanted that for a long time.
You'd have to be able to
Simulator sounds better to me, but I don't even know what that is. So. Okay,
Something we probably could do if it's not a machine inside.
might like it.
Well, the simulator would be an option. You can put it on practice mode, and we could sell range time. I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, you can give a lesson in a simulator. You can, so there's some options with simulators. I've given lessons in simulators. I've watched people run leagues in simulators. It's a possibility. I just didn't know if. What's that?
Where's the simulator located? Like, where's it go?
We could actually put it in the back corner of the golf shop.
Put it in the pro shop.
In the very back far left corner where I moved the pop machine from, it would
So
fit
is
there.
it like those dance machine things you do when you're pretending those are the bowling things?
No, basically you've got a mat that you hit off of, and you got a screen just like that, but it's reading the trajectory of the ball, and it's reading the distance of the ball and it calculates it off the angle and the speed.
So it is like that.
Kinda.
It's like those games, right?
Yeah, it's basically a game. I mean, that's the majority of it. There's certain aspects. There's certain aspects in golf that it's not going to take into consideration, such as side spin and stuff like that, but it's going to calculate it based on certain numbers.
It's a Wii on steroids.
What's that?
It's a Wii on steroids.
That's a fact. A little more detail and maybe some course options, but.
Well, and then we'd have to know how much revenue does that generate and how long,
There's a lot out there, and you can find that. Kurt, I would just encourage you to look at one-day liquor license as well for 2018.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
May I have one more question?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I mean, I don't talk that much, so. Does Pierce Lake have a liquor license?
Pierce Lake does.
Well, I'd be looking at a beer and wine, I think.
Well, my question is, if they do, I want to make sure that when you do the budget, try to figure out how much, the revenue, because it's hard to say that maybe the beer is offsetting the losses, but.
Oh, true. I see what you're saying. So their liquor sales may be offsetting some losses to where it.
Madam Chair, I'd move to table.
Support.
Motion Doe, support Eldridge. Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Lovejoy Rowe? Yes. Stumble votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
The item is tabled.
That back left corner.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out, too. We appreciate the dialogue.
Can I just add one thing just before we leave anyways? I'm sorry. Darlene Duvall, 1107 Georgina, Ypsilanti. Just a quick question that I have, because I didn't do all the homework, and it's with the turn to Kirk. He does this comparison of all the golf courses in the area, and that's great. However, the golf courses in the area do have liquor licenses. They do serve food. They do this. They do that. We don't do that. So they have extra costs, food, liquor, people, employees. So their prices are going to be a little pricier. So do we keep that into consideration too? I mean, he's not having to pay for all that. You aren't, so I guess what I'm saying is when we do look at this, we need to really not compare ourselves to them because we aren't them. We just need to look at what's right.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda, number 6, is the request of Mike Radzik, OCS Director, for approval of the Majestic Lakes Plan Development Stage 2, the final site plan, and the development agreement for the village at Majestic Lakes Estates, and the ponds at Majestic Lake.
I would move that to approve with the recommended conditions of approval of number 1, floor plans and elevations for the ponds at Majestic Lakes Majestic Lake Estate shall be reviewed and approved by the Township Board prior to issuance of building permits and construction of those phases. 2, that the site plan comments that are in OHM's review letter that's dated August 28, 2017 shall be completed prior to a pre-construction meeting. 3, compliance with all requirements specified in the following agency review letters. A, Washtenaw County Road Commission letter that's dated July 26 of 2017. B, the Washtenaw County Water Resources Commission letter dated June 29th of 2017. The Ypsilanti Community Utilities Authority letter dated June 6 of 2017. The Ypsilanti Township Fire Department letter dated August 25th, 2017. And number 4, that a photometric plan, including the pole type and light fixture type, should be submitted for review and approval by the planning staff and administration. And 5, the residential entrance sign shall be submitted for review and approval by the planning staff and administration. And I would so move the final site plan, PD number 2 for Majestic Lakes with those conditions read in the record.
Motion Lovejoy Rowe, supported by Trustee Wilson. Michael?
Good evening.
Good evening.
This project has been going on for at least 15 years, and I know that there are at least 3 members of the board that have never seen it before. So having said that, I'm going to give just a very brief overview of what it is. Manny Kayanicki from S.R. Jacobson, who is the developer, is with us also tonight. And I guess I'd like to know, Madam Supervisor, would you like just a very brief outline of how we got to this point and what's transpired, or just to lay out what you're being asked to approve this evening?
Lay out what we're being asked to approve.
Very good. This is the Majestic Lakes Plan Development. It is a request to approve PD Stage 2, which is the equivalent of the final site plan for this development. PD 1, which was the rezoning and the preliminary site plan, was approved September 15th of 2015 with 13 conditions by the board. Those conditions were codified in what's called the First Amendment to the original Lakewood Plan Development Agreement. The Lakewood PD agreement was signed in 2013. The First Amendment came in 2015. Since then, the developer has been engaged with our staff and our consultants doing all the detailed engineering to get us to the point we are this evening, which is PD2 final site plan approval after all the detailed engineering has been worked out. This site is a total of about 254 acres. 50% of the site is open spaces. About 65% of the site is designated as preservation areas, which includes a little over 90 acres of lakes, hence the name Majestic Lakes and some of the names of the individual phases for Majestic Lakes. The overall density is about 1.5 units per acre. There will be a total, when it's completed, 391 housing units. There is a north section and a south section, and there's 3 different distinct characteristics of housing units involved, some of which have already been built and most of which is yet to be built. On the north side, if you picture in your mind's eye, and I had a graphic, but because of the technical difficulties, we can't display it, I guess. On the north side, on the south side of Textile Road, where Huron River Drive dead ends into Textile, you may have seen two what look like apartment buildings, but they're actually attached condominium buildings. Each building has 8 condos in them. That is the original northern portion of the original Lakewood plan. Before the developer went bankrupt in 2008, they did build 16 attached condos in 2 buildings, 8 in each building. And then the construction on that portion ceased. What is to be completed there is a new product. There'll be 37 single-family condominium sites with 50-foot wide lots. The original portion off Textile was called the Ponds at Lakewood, and the 2 buildings that were put up will remain to be known as the Ponds at Lakewood. But the new 50-foot lot homes will be part of what's going to be known as the Ponds at Majestic Lakes. Those will be private roads in that portion off of Textile Road. On the southern portion, which is east of Tuttle Hill and north of Merritt, it comprised of 239 acres total, and there will be, when it's completed, 3 different styles of housing, if you will. One of them is already under construction. You know it now today as the Nautica Point apartment community. That's 142 attached single-family ranch apartment homes. That'll be a rental community. That was split off several years ago with a separate development agreement that went through this similar approval process, and that's now under construction. The second phase would be 81 50-foot wide single-family lots that will be known as Majestic Lakes Estates. That is, it's kind of hard to describe without the map in front of me, but it's the most eastern portion east of where the apartments are currently being constructed. And then the third style will be 60-foot wide single-family condominium lots. There will be a total of 115 of those. 72 of them already exist in the phase known as Lakewood Estates, which was previously approved by the Board of Trustees and was originally, the original builder was Alan Edwin, and they eventually exited and Lombardo Homes took over. And it's my understanding as of a couple of weeks ago, they were down to 1, maybe 2 home sites left to be sold. So that will be sold out and completely built out here in very short order. The other portion of that 115 60-foot wide lots will be known as the Village at Majestic Lakes. There'll be a total of 43 of those units. And that's one of the development agreements in front of you tonight. Our attorney, Doug Winters, and S.R. Jacobson's attorney, Mark Cohn, put their heads together and determined that the best path forward in order to meet everyone's needs was to craft 3 separate new development agreements that will be layered on top of the underlying master development agreement that was crafted in 2013 and then amended in 2015. The Village at Majestic Lakes portion is the only one that has elevations already determined. Lombardo Homes is going to continue building what they're already building at Lakewood Estates in the Village at Majestic Lakes, which adjoins it immediately to the north. So in your packet, under the Village of Majestic Lakes Development Agreement, you will see copies of those previously approved elevations for the Lombardo homes that will be built there. The other 2 portions and the other 2 development agreements in front of you tonight, the Ponds at Lakewood and Majestic Lakes Estates, there are no builders identified yet, and therefore there are no floor plans or elevations to be presented. The 2 development agreements for both of those phases specifies that when S.R. Jacobson identifies a builder and has elevations, they shall bring them back to the Board of Trustees so that this board can view them, review them, and then approve them. The other differences are that the streets up at the ponds section off Textile are private roads, and the streets in the other two phases will be public roads. And I may have left something out, and I'm sure maybe you have questions, and I also would like to give Mr. Kayanicki an opportunity to speak or fill in any gaps that I may have missed, if the board pleases.
Are there any, before I ask for questions, Mr. Winters, have you reviewed the development agreements in our?
Well, as Mike said, there are 3 separate development agreements, and they're pretty much going to be consistent, with the exception of the elevations are not known yet for the 2, and those will come back. But in terms of following the format, they're consistent with the rent restrictions and other features that were first negotiated in the Nautica Point Development Agreement. So in regards to the completeness, it also ties back to the First Amendment to the development agreement, as well as the actual initial plan development agreement back in 2013. So it's going to be kind of a number of documents that have to be recorded each time a phase is approved. So to answer the question directly, yes, I have reviewed those, and I believe they're in proper form for the board to proceed if so desired.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions for the developer? I have, we had talked to, I hope they all don't look like cookie cutters, which I know there's different, I don't think they will.
I think
normally,
Manny may be the best person to address that.
Well, Lombardo normally, I mean, they do them, the same is not next to each other per se, and the colors are different, and they started adding different, like rock features, which that's not the proper term. They affix it to the house to give it a different architectural look, yeah. So I don't know, I can't tell by the black and white pictures if that's a case, but I think it is a case from the pictures. We also talked about using 220 for garages for electric cars in order to help, just plan for the future and have them ready for people who are purchasing them, which
We have talked about that internally. There's nothing in the PD agreement or the development agreements that specifically speaks to that, but with the advent of electric cars going forward as an option, we had discussed with encouraging the developers and the builders to offer that as an option where people in the future with electric cars would have the opportunity to charge them in their own garages.
Now, 220 is what I was told, by the time it comes, it might be
Maybe our
20.
engineer could answer that. I don't know.
But I know that was one thing we talked about, and we also discussed not making sure whoever maintains the open space that it's, bee-friendly products, and for the pesticides and that treatment, and phosphorus-free unless it's needed.
The phosphorus issue is addressed in the development agreements.
Well, I just kind of mentioned bees are important.
Yes.
And so I don't know if that has to be noted in the minutes or in a letter to them, and I don't know how to address that, but I just wanted to add those couple comments to that.
I would like to point out, Mr. Winters and I spoke earlier, and then I followed up with Mr. Kayanicki. The first condition of approval specifies that the elevations for the 2 phases that don't have builders yet come back specifically to the township board for approval, not to staff.
Right.
The 2 development agreements for those 2 sections states in the elevations portion that they come back to the township, not township board. So we discussed adding the word board into that section, and I can tell you exactly where that might go, and I don't believe there's any objection from the applicant. But that would be a one-word change to those 2 development agreements. On page 3, item number 7 of both, just add the word board where it specifies that those elevations come back to the township. It should say township board on both of those.
I think I put that as a condition, didn't I? Or you want to put it in the development, I'm sorry.
Well, it's included as one of the conditions of approval, township board, but Doug felt more comfortable if we added that into the actual development agreement.
Okay, so I'll change the,
So for the ponds at Majestic Lakes and for the Majestic Lakes Estates,
development agreement too.
page 3, section 7, in the fourth line where it says to the township, it should read to the township board.
Is there anything else that you can?
If everybody gets done, I'll amend my motion.
Yeah, and the washout, I don't know who to ask, for the drain commission and the maintenance, Jessica probably knows, of the drain, is that under the Washoe County Water Resource Commission?
Yes.
And so is the maintenance, because I know that's one issues that we're having throughout the development is the maintenance of those. Jimmy, you sent me a email request, so once it goes in, it's operational, but then within 10 years, you have to expend dollars to actually repair it and stuff, so.
Madam, so, oh, yep, sorry. This is Jessica Howard with OHM Advisors. One of the comments that we had in our letter was when they revised those plans prior to scheduling the pre-construction meeting is providing an actual maintenance schedule, and then that will also detail out who's responsible and everything that needs to be done routinely, annually, biannually, everything that goes along with maintaining all of those ponds.
So that would be the association responsibility to do that, correct?
Well, it would depend on what was in the development agreement.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Well, maybe I can help out here for a second. In the First Amendment to the development agreement, all those responsibilities are spelled out. And it's going to be the homeowners association that's going to be responsible for the stormwater management as well as a replacement of sidewalks. All those are specifically carved out in that First Amendment to the development agreement, which is going to be an exhibit and has been incorporated into all these individual development agreements. So all those bells and whistles that in the past you become accustomed to are going to carry over to each phase of these development, each phase that's going to be built. So it will be the responsibility of the HOA to maintain those systems, and the township has to get involved in that. The township has the right to actually assess those property owners the cost for that type of maintenance. So,
Well, and I guess, Doug, the reason I'm asking is the design was terrible in a couple of them. Where I live, for example. But, so I just didn't know if, like you said, there's a maintenance agreement for so many years, because you don't turn it over to the association until, what, 75 or 80%? You don't create your association until it's whatever percent.
So then it'll be on the contractor to still maintain and fix until it's done.
Turned over to the
Correct.
association, that was my.
Yep. So they'll have to go and look, at the structures and clean them out routinely and everything like that.
Yeah, that's a part we in the past, we haven't had our developments long, but we've never been able to stay ahead of, is that maintenance of the storm.
Yep.
I'm totally confused. Can I ask a question? Okay, so if we change the motion, I got the development agreement part. In your letter, August 28, 2017, for OHM, Jessica?
Yes, ma'am.
That in there, a part of that is going to be that they have a maintenance schedule.
Added to the plans itself, yep. So a lot of times the development agreement isn't readily available on the site, but it's easy to pull up the plans and you can quickly see what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, or how often, so.
And then in reference to what Attorney Winters said, that maintenance schedule plan, whatever, is going to be that's actually required to be in the development agreement, or it is in there, or the future ones?
Well,
I was trying to rephrase.
They're all phased individual development.
Right.
I'm hungry, I'm sorry.
Oh, my.
So they're going to be subject to the original
This is
development
important, too.
agreement and the amended development agreement. And so, again, it's kind of a very complicated number of documents, but because the way it's been developed and the way that Manny and S.R. Jacobson had to acquire the property and put into a position for redevelopment, along with the changes that were allowed for the Nautica Point, all these have to be read in conjunction. And so all three of those documents are going to be relevant. These are individual phase developments that are the now last generation of documents that are going to come before this board, starting with the one in 2013, 2015, and now 2017.
And when you refer to those, because we only have one development agreement for this currently, right? For Majestic Nautica Point, right? Is that what we currently have? And so when you're saying reference two more, you're referring to both the ponds and the estates?
All three of the ones that are before you this evening.
Majestic Lake Estate.
And the ponds and the Majestic Lake Estates. And what is the other one called? I'm totally confused. Because we don't have the map, huh?
Lakewood Estates, I
Thank
believe.
you. And Lakewood Estates.
I can draw you a map.
And then Brenda, your thing, Supervisor Stumbo, your things were to include that we have thank you, that we have, that we requested that in the natural or open spaces that bee-friendly plantings be included. And
The maintenance of fertilization.
And that you follow the phosphorus ordinance, and that, do you want them to include the electric things, or do you want them to offer that as an option? Electric
I
cars.
personally would like it in there, and we talked to,
Bardo.
yeah,
We had a meeting, I think it was on a different topic. We did talk with Greg Windingland, representing Lombardo Homes, who will be the actual builder, about that whole electric vehicle recharging option.
and they were open to it, right?
They were, yes.
Yeah, they were. How do you feel about that, Manny?
I'm sorry, what were we talking about? I just wanted to point out something about the drainage district.
Okay.
This, one more layer that, just to remind everybody, this is an officially established county drainage district. It's the Lakewood Farms Drainage District. So there's that layer on top of, there's a letter actually June 29, 2017, that was part of our approval that has certain provisions in it. For example, on-site inspection of stormwater management system will be required during construction. At the time of plant and seed delivery, a Water Resources Commission landscape reviewer must be present. The quality and species delivered will be reviewed on site. Draft copy of the stormwater easement documents should be submitted to our office for review prior to recording. Stormwater or drainage easements must be exclusive and be dedicated to the Water Resources Commission and the Condominium Association. So in addition to the obligations that are required by the development agreement and that are required by the master deed, we also have obligations that will be supervised by the Water Resources Commission.
Manny, do you have sump pumps in all of these? Or are they high enough?
Well, for the most, I don't know.
If there's a basement, do they have a
right.
sump pump, do you know?
They better have two.
My guess is probably, but I also know that in all of the holes that they have dug, they've been above the water table, because
That's
really,
what I was-
all of the basement holes have been dry. There was a high water table there originally. There were a whole, in the original development, they actually did a rather innovative system whereby they put in perimeter drains around the entire site. They lowered the outlet that goes underneath Textile Road to the lake, and that lowered the water table about 4 to 5 feet. So all of the builders are staying above that water table, and I have not heard of any problems with wet basements, but that's a good question for our builders.
So during the design process, we don't actually get the details of what kind of homes as far as basements, but we do look at water table, and we do address if it's clear that sumps are going to be needed.
Okay.
During construction, it would be confirmed, especially when each unit is being built, and, the decision to have the basement at that time.
Do they still have the overflow of the sump pump going down to a catch basin in the backyards,
Yep, we
connected
did.
with the,
Yep, we do have connections for the rear yards. There's the storms district and the piping that they have, so it is being connected.
All the lots have sump leads.
Yep.
And I also just wanted to mention on the topic of stormwater management, correct me if I'm wrong, Manny, but when S.R. Jacobson took over and began redesigning this site from the original approval, the County Water Resources Commission originally told them that they could follow the originally approved plans that were under the old standards. And then when Dennis, is it Wojcik, retired, that got changed, and they were then required to meet all of the new standards, which they have now met.
Right. Which is part of the reason it took us so long to get here to stage 2. That took probably 9 months.
yeah, nothing's normal about this development, is it? And I do have one other question. The street trees, because I can't, are they in the curbed area between the road and the sidewalk, or have we moved them into the lawn
Yards.
area? Yeah, which is something we've talked about
Yeah.
for probably 12 years, maybe.
We also talked about finding species that don't have roots that go way down. Then I found out something about the Bartlett pears.
Yeah, they're not good.
No, I'm sorry.
I was just wondering, because I know that was an issue, because where you plant it, it
The roots go
conflicts
into the
with
road.
the lighting, and it also affected the sewer system and water system with the roots, which is, I know it sounds crazy, but this is really important stuff for people who are buying them.
I'm looking at the new development agreements that are before you. I'm looking at the one for the Village at Majestic Lakes, which is the one that Lombardo will be building. Section 19 on page 6 addresses street trees, and it does say that Blue Majestic shall install or cause to be installed trees within the street right-of-way for each portion where building permits are pulled.
Just as a point of information that we've talked about in the past, but see, because they're not on here, this isn't a,
If you flip to
is it on the landscape plan? It should be on every lot. But anyways, I was just,
Well, they're putting them where you said you didn't want them.
that's what I'm thinking, but it's not where I don't want them, I'm just saying from a.
Where they cause problems, it's not a personal issue,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Sorry, reframe that.
It is, yeah. Do you know the issues I'm talking about that we? So we might have to, you might have to move that. If you're willing, it doesn't have to be in the motion, but
In this same section, I don't know if this would address this or not, but it goes on to say that where necessary or advisable due to site conditions, site requirements of the road commission, location of public or private utilities or other factors, street tree installation may deviate from the final landscape plan, provided that they meet the average separation, so on and so forth. So I think that was intended to give them some flexibility so that it wouldn't interfere with those underground infrastructure.
okay, so you can address it. Because I know when you have you put in a light, a street light, and then the tree grows right over it.
Especially when we put in the decorative, because they're lower. And then you put it the big tree, and, yeah.
But we can, let's address it. Okay. Any other questions or comments? I know everyone's hating Karen and I right now. We have a motion.
You want me to do it, want me to change the motion? Make sure I agree. I'm just going to if it's all right with you, Larry, you supported it, right?
No.
Jimmy, can I redo my motion? All right, I'm going to redo the motion that we approve the Majestic, this is a brand-new motion for recorder person. I need some food, too. I move that we approve the Majestic Lakes PD2's final site plan with the following conditions of approval. Floor plans and elevations for the ponds at Majestic Lakes and Majestic Lake Estate shall be reviewed and approved by the Township Board prior to the issuance of building permits and construction for those phases. And the development agreements shall be changed specifically on page 3, section 3, to refer that it would be subject to township board approval. Did I say that right, Michael?
Page 3, section 7.
Or what did I say? I got 7 wrote down.
I think you said page 3, section 3, but it's...
I guess I can't read right. Development agreement, page 3, section 7, it's right there that'll be referred back to the township board for approval. The site plan, number 2, the site plan comments and OHM's review letter dated August 20th, 2017 shall be completed prior to the pre-construction meeting, which will also include a maintenance schedule that will be on the plans and also in the development agreement for future requirements of who is responsible, homeowners association. Number 3, compliance with all requirements specified in the following agency review letters: the Washtenaw County Road Commission, July 26, 2017, the Washtenaw County Water Resources Commission, June 29, 2017, the Ypsilanti Community Utilities Authority letter, June 6, 2017, the Ypsilanti Township Fire Department letter, August 25, 2017, and that a photometric plan, including the pole type and the light fixture type, shall be submitted for review and approval by the planning staff and administration. And 5, the residential entrance sign shall be submitted for review and approval by the planning staff and administration, and that the bee-friendly natural species plantings will be included. And number 7, that they will follow a phosphorus reduction ordinance. And number 8 is that there will be consideration giving for an option or to include in every household the electric vehicle plug-ins.
Support.
The motion by Lovejoy Rose, supported by Wilson.
Wait, did I miss? Oh, thank you. And development agreements for, I got them wrote down somewhere, Lakewood Estates.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not even reading from the agenda. I was reading from the conditions. Thank you, Deputy Clerk Lisa Stanfield. Where did it go? Yeah, to approve Majestic Lakes Plan Development. Where's it at? Agreements for Village at Majestic Lakes and Majestic Lake Estates and the ponds at Majestic Lakes Plan Development Agreements. Thank you. Michael, you didn't put it in the list.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Are we all set, Mr. Winter?
I'm good.
Okay, good. Gerald Rowe? Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Lovejoy Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you for your patience on that. Number 7 is a request of Mike Radzick, OCS Director, for authorization to seek legal action if necessary to abate public nuisance for property located at 2061 Chevrolet and 2124 Bomber in the amount of $20,000, budget line item 101-95000-0801-023.
Move to approve.
Support.
Motion Doe, support Gerald Rowe. Discussion on it? No? Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Lovejoy
Yes.
Rowe? Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson, motion carries. The next item is a request approval of communications site lease agreement for cell tower located at 2801 Holmes Road in the amount of $175,000.
So moved.
Support.
Motion Eldridge, support Lovejoy Rowe. Mr. Winters, did you?
Well, just basically, I've been negotiating or having conversations with Tower Point Capital, who has expressed interest in acquiring our rights to the revenue, or to our rights to the cell tower located at 201 Holmes Road. I've laid out in very detailed letters that this is a far different scenario from the cell towers located on Huron River Drive. They are willing for a lump sum payment of $175,000 and to also share 50-50 on potential future revenue opportunities that could be coming to this site, given the option that we had granted a few years ago to Crown Castle to expand the location by an additional 1,250 square feet. I think that there is a deadline of November 30th to at least accept this offer. It's going to require a more detailed agreement to come back to the board, but I wanted to at least present this opportunity because this would also provide one of those lump sum, non-tax revenue opportunities that would give the township board that lump sum of $175 to be used as the board would see fit, keeping in mind that we will have the $740 from the SBA cell towers probably in hand before December 22nd. So again, opportunity to maximize this opportunity to generate additional revenue. This past week, I know that Brenda, myself, and Mike and Travis met with people from the designated antenna system, satellite, which is kind of a different, they're now starting to put these antennas on existing light poles to boost the signal. And as the whole industry continues to change, I'm not really sure in 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, what we'll have in terms of the cell tower technology. So I think it's a wise business decision to consider the lump sum opportunity. And again, for this site, SBA was not interested at all in making an offer. I think the 175 is going to be about as far as I can take it for the time being, keeping in mind that opportunity of 50-50 revenue sharing. And right now, this site is generating $18,000 a year. It's not going to go up as much as the other ones we're going to for a number of reasons. So it's before you this evening so I can give them a thumbs up or thumbs down as to their proposal. And if it is accepted, it will be required to have more detailed negotiations and a final agreement brought back to the township board.
Comment? Ms. Kaiser?
Arloa Kaiser, 1421 Melvin Street. Can this $175,000 be put towards the Seaver Farm bill?
Bond.
Or bond, whatever, so that would be really taking it down?
Yes, the board can vote on doing that, and we discussed that at one of the meetings to do that, so yes, that's.
Well, actually, the Seaver Farm bond will be paid off.
Paid off by the other one.
From the sale of the cell towers to SBA. So that 740 will wipe out the Seaver Farm bond indebtedness. This 175 can be designated as the board sees fit, but the 740 will pay off those Seaver Farm bonds.
Okay, I was under the impression that other money did not totally pay off the Seaver Farm.
There is an LDFA bond, which is an infrastructure bond, and we receive funds from Bozo over there to help pay that off. We don't really want to pay that off. Otherwise, we'll lose money.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Also.
Thank you.
But the 175, I know there's a lot of recreational needs that's been identified by the Park Commission, and the Township Supervisor has identified the need to upgrade some of our parks, to bring them into compliance. So there's a lot of good uses available.
Simulator?
Yes, there you go. You get 2 simulators. So the 175, can be used for a lot of good things. But again, it's a board decision to allow the negotiations to continue.
Doug, just so I end it for the motion is to approve this actual letter of agreement?
Well, it's to accept their offer 175, but that letter of agreement is going to require some fine tuning. And because they had a deadline of November 30th, I wanted to at least accept the proposal for the 175 and the 50-50 revenue sharing, but I'm not going to have you sign that agreement until I work out the final details.
So do you want us to just formally accept the $175,000?
And the 50-50 revenue, the offer, and there's an email that's kind of detailed as to what this offer includes. It's just that right now there are some provisions. Right now it's $175,000 up front, 50-50 revenue going forward. They will absorb all the risk of any type of technology changes, any future risk. We can use the money as we see fit. But that agreement that I want to bring back to the board has to be more expanded beyond what they gave this evening, but I just wanted to at least have the acceptance or rejection prior to November 30th, which was their deadline.
Yeah, I heard you say that, but I'm looking at the agenda item in the motion.
Well, that may have been some confusion on my part.
Do you not want us to sign the agreement?
No.
I want you to accept
The
the offer.
agreement will come back.
Do we need to?
Just to formally accept the offer with the agreement coming back to the board. Could that be a friendly amendment?
Actually, it probably just needs to be a new motion because it's so different.
Okay.
I would request to the offer, we're accepting the offer, right, Doug?
I'm sorry?
We're accepting the offer.
Accepting the offer contingent upon everything that I just
Yeah,
got to.
upon an agreement being entered to later. Right.
So, the motion was made by,
Stan? Seconded by me.
just withdraw your motion if people wouldn't,
And then just
and the seconder was
me. That's a fine with
Karen.
me.
Okay, so a new motion would be,
So moved.
I support
specific.
the motion that we accept the offer from the communications site lease agreement for the south cell tower located at 2801 Holmes Road in the amount of about $175,000 with the understanding that a formal agreement will be brought back for actual signing.
okay.
Hopefully it's on the tape because I didn't write it down.
So we have a
Yeah.
motion and support. Is there any more discussion? Gerald Rowe.
Yes.
Eldridge.
Yes.
Monica Ross Williams.
Yes.
Lovejoy Rowe.
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Doe.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
That motion has been approved. Number 9 is a request to set a public hearing for Tuesday, December 5th at approximately 7 p.m. for the 2018 fiscal year budget.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Lovejoy Rose, support Ross Williams to set the public hearing. Discussion? And we can have the public hearing if we don't want to adopt it at the time, we don't have to, but we have to adopt it by December 31st. Okay. Joe Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Lovejoy Rowe? Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Motion approved. The next item, which was added to the agenda, is request of approval to amend the provider of the cafeteria plan benefits to Clarity Benefit Solutions as recommended by our health insurance agent broker, Ascend Group, and authorize Karen Wallen to sign.
So moved.
Support.
Motion Rowe, support Eldridge. Discussion? Hearing none. Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Lovejoy Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Authorization and bids, Chief.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Rowe, supported by Doe, to accept the only bidder once again in the amount of $18,804. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge? Ross-
Yes.
Yep, Ross?
Yes.
Lovejoy Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo, Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
The motion is approved. Is there any other business to come before this great board that we have here?
I just wanted to say thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. So, motion to adjourn would be in order.
Second.
I got to go back to attorney's report. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Doug, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I don't think anybody wants to hear my report tonight, so.
I want to go eat.
So we might want to go under other business, just to, I know there were 2 issues that you sent a letter out about having closed session on, so I didn't know.
I'm prepared for it, but I don't know if anybody else is, so, it's your call to make.
No. What time is it? 10.
Karen, does that work down here? Do you know?
I don't know that you're going to be able to with the problems that's
Well,
going on.
I'm not sure everyone's in agreement.
Nothing's working.
Who's in agreement?
You don't need to see it up there, they can see it there.
It's on the screen.
If,
It's your call to
It
make.
takes a 2/3 vote.
Well, if you want to go into closed session, it would be to discuss a specific pending litigation. It's an arbitration matter involving the township, Council 3451, and Don Sheets. It is also to discuss material that would be exempt under the state and federal state statutes pertaining to attorney-client privilege information. So if you want to go into closed session, that's the legal basis to do so.
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
There's a motion by Eldridge, supported by Ross Williams to go into closed session to discuss the arbitration hearing. And what was this?
Another material that's exempt under federal and state statutes, specifically attorney-client privileged communications,
We have a
correspondence.
motion and support. Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Lovejoy Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo, no. Yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Okay, we're in closed session, but I'm going to go get a protein bar. I'm just saying. So, please start.
Okay, the board went into closed session at approximately 9:44.